The sound of shattering glass has a way of freezing time. One moment, we were celebrating my grandson's birthday. The next, my son, Kalen, was screaming at me in front of everyone. "You will never be half the woman my mother-in-law is." The room went silent. All I could do was look at the beautiful cake, now ruined, on the floor. I took a slow breath and looked him dead in the eye. "Will she be the one to fix the community center you convinced me to fund then?" I asked, my voice eerily calm. "Because I am done writing checks for your lies." His wife, Priya, stared at him, her face crumbling. "What community center? What lies? You told me your mother donated that money years ago." Kalen started to stammer, his confidence vanishing. "If you're watching this, please follow and subscribe to Anon Voices. Let me know where you're from, because to understand how we got to that moment, you need to know the whole story." My name is Anya. At 62, I thought my toughest days were behind me. I raised Kalen alone in a small, sunny house after his father, Leo, passed away when Kalen was just 5. I wasn't just his mom. I was his playmate, his teacher, his everything. We didn't have much, but we had a garden full of vegetables and a home full of love. I truly believed I'd raised a good, honest man. But it turns out, I had only raised the man he was when he was with me. The visit that started it all was on a bright Sunday afternoon. Kalen showed up, not with his usual hug, but with a sleek car I'd never seen before. "Mom, we need to talk," he said, his eyes avoiding the familiar, cozy clutter of my home. He sat on my old floral sofa as if it might bite him. "It's about Priya, her family. They're different, they're old money. Her father is a renowned architect. Their world is about legacy and appearances." I smiled, confused. "That's wonderful, Kalen, she sounds lovely." He cut me off. "Mom, you don't understand. They can't know about all of this." He gestured around my living room, at my hand-knitted blankets and the slightly crooked bookshelves Leo built. "They can't know that my childhood was simple, that we grew our own food because we had to. They think we come from a line of artists and thinkers." My heart sank. "We are thinkers, Kalen, and our life was beautiful." He just shook his head. "Please, Mom, for me, just be quiet and graceful when you meet them." After he left, I stood in my garden, the scent of rosemary and damp earth filling the air. This was the same garden where Kalen had learned to walk, where we'd buried his first hamster, where we'd laughed until we cried. And now he was asking me to pretend it was all a secret shame. The irony was a physical ache. Leo had been a carpenter, a man who built things with his hands and loved with his whole heart. He'd built this very house. He used to say, "Anya, we are building a life, not a museum." Now, our son wanted to put our life in a museum and only show the pretty, fake exhibits. When Leo died, a part of me went with him, but I had a little boy to raise. I turned our grief into a project. I started a small business from home, making natural soaps and balms from the herbs in our garden. It was slow, hard work. Many nights I fell asleep at the kitchen table, my hands stained with clay and lavender. But it grew. Anya's Garden, I called it. It paid for Kalen's school trips, his art supplies, and eventually his college tuition. I was so proud of the business I'd built from the ground up. I thought Kalen was proud, too. But now I saw the truth. He saw my life's work as a cute, folksy hobby, something to be hidden from his new, important friends. The first meeting with Priya and her parents was at a gallery opening. Kalen had insisted I wear a specific, plain black dress. "It looks sophisticated, Mom," he'd said. Priya was indeed lovely, sharp, intelligent eyes and a warm smile. Her mother, Chandni, was a vision in silk, her posture perfect. "Anya," Chandni said, shaking my hand. "Kalen tells us you are a curator of rustic crafts." I glanced at Kalen, who was smiling nervously. "I create things with my hands," I said carefully. "How authentic," Chandni replied, though her tone suggested otherwise. The entire evening, I felt like a prop in Kalen's play. He talked about our family's appreciation for minimalist living and our historical connection to the land. He made our beautiful, messy, real life sound like a philosophical choice, not a series of loving decisions. The real trouble started a year later. Kalen came to me, his face pale. "Mom, I need your help. It's for a huge opportunity." He explained that Priya's father was backing a new, high-profile urban development project. To get a piece of it, Kalen needed to show he had skin in the game. He needed to make a substantial donation to a city renewal fund to prove his commitment to community values. "It's just a formality, Mom. The returns will be astronomical. I'll pay you back triple." The amount he needed made my knees weak. It was every penny I had saved from 20 years of Anya's Garden. plus the value of my house. Kaylin, this is everything, I whispered. I know, Mom, and I would never ask if it wasn't a sure thing. This is my one chance to step into their world, to be their equal. He looked at me with the same pleading eyes he had as a boy asking for a puppy. And I, like a fool, said yes. I remortgaged my home. I liquidated my savings. I signed over the money, my stomach in knots. You are saving my future, Mom, he said, hugging me. I will make you so proud. He didn't. The community fund was, I would later learn, vague and poorly defined. The project got delayed, and the monthly payments on the new loans began to eat me alive. For 2 years, I struggled. I took on more orders, worked later into the night, and quietly let go of little luxuries to make the payments. Meanwhile, Kaylin and Priya got engaged. They bought a stunning modern apartment. Kaylin's social media was filled with pictures of exotic vacations and fancy dinners. He made exactly 0 payments back to me. When I gently brought it up, he'd say, "Soon, Mom, I promise. The project is just taking longer than expected." You don't want me to look bad in front of Chandni and Raj, do you? The guilt was a heavy chain. I was protecting his lie, financing his new life, and slowly bankrupting the very legacy I had built for him. The engagement party was a lavish affair at Priya's family estate. It was all crystal, white orchids, and string quartets. I wore my same black dress. Chandni, ever graceful, floated over to me. Anya, Kaylin tells us you've been so generous. He mentioned you were the primary donor for the new Riverfront Community Center years ago. Such a wonderful, quiet philanthropist. I froze. The community center. That was the cover story he'd used for the money. I looked across the room and saw Kaylin watching me. A silent warning in his eyes. I just smiled weakly at Chandni. It was a passion project, I managed to say, the lie tasting like ash in my mouth. Later that night, I overheard Kaylin boasting to a group of guests. Yes, philanthropy runs in the family. My mother has always had the means to support the arts and community. She taught me that with great wealth comes great responsibility. I felt sick. He wasn't just hiding our past. He was inventing a glorious, wealthy future for us, a future built on my present-day financial ruin. The final straw came at my grandson's birthday party. It was held in my own backyard, the one place I thought was safe from his lies. I had baked a cake, the same recipe I always used. Kaylin took one look at it and sneered. "Mom, couldn't you have ordered a proper cake from a patisserie? This looks homemade." The children loved it, but he was fuming. The argument started quietly, but it grew. He was embarrassed by the simple party games, by my handmade decorations. "Why can't you just act like a normal grandmother for once?" He finally snapped, his voice rising. That's when he knocked the cake off the table. And that's when he shouted those unforgivable words. "You will never be half the woman my mother-in-law is." The room fell silent. All the hurt, the fear, the financial strain of the last 2 years rose up in me, but it came out as a terrifying calm. I looked at the ruined cake on my floor. I looked at my grandson's scared face. And I looked at my son. "Will she be the one to fix the community center you convinced me to fund then?" I asked. "Because I am done writing checks for your lies." The truth tumbled out. Priya learned that the generous family donation was actually my life savings, taken under false pretenses. She learned that the successful, philanthropic family she thought she was marrying into was a complete fiction. The party ended in tears and shouting. Kaylin left, blaming me for ruining his life. But for the first time in years, I felt free. In the weeks that followed, Priya came to see me. Alone, she sat in my kitchen in the same spot Kaylin used to sit. "He lied to me about everything, Anya," she cried. "I didn't fall in love with a wealthy man. I fell in love with a man I thought was honest and kind." I showed her the loan documents. I showed her the ledgers from my business. I showed her the real story. She was heartbroken, but she wasn't angry with me. She called off the wedding. Kaylin was furious. He said I had stolen his future. But I hadn't. He had pawned it piece by piece for a fantasy. One afternoon, Chandni, Priya's mother, came to my door. I expected disdain. Instead, she asked, "May I see your garden?" We walked among the herbs and flowers. "This is where you built it all," she said, not as a question. She told me she had built her own interior design firm from nothing, too. She understood the sweat, the sacrifice. "Kaylin was a fool," she said simply. "He was ashamed of the very thing that made you remarkable. He tried to buy his way into a world when he could have just brought his wonderful, real mother with him." Her words healed a wound I didn't know was still bleeding. Chandni made me an offer I never saw coming. She loved my products. She wanted to invest in Anya's garden, not as a charity, but as a partner. She had the business connections to take it to a national market. We formed a new company, Hearth and Home. It combined her eye for design with my recipes and ethos. It took off. The money from our success allowed me to pay off those crushing loans in just a year. The monthly payments that once symbolized my shame now became a reminder of my strength. I had my home, my business, and my freedom. Kalen and I didn't speak for a long time. He had to face the consequences of his actions without my safety net. It was the hardest thing I've ever done. But recently, a letter arrived. It was from him. No excuses, just an apology, a real one. He started therapy. He's working a simple, honest job. He said he's finally understanding the value of the things I tried to teach him. We're talking again, slowly. It's different now. There are no more lies between us. I had to let him fall to teach him how to stand on his own. My story isn't about a villain and a victim. It's about a mother's love and the difficult truth that sometimes the most loving thing you can do is stop helping. It's about realizing that your value isn't determined by your son's approval. My name is Anya. I am a business owner, a partner, a grandmother, and a woman who finally learned that her own story is enough. Thanks for listening to Anon Voices. If you found strength in my story, please follow and subscribe for more. Share your own stories of finding strength in the comments below. Your voice matters.